Hello friends, today we're going to take a look at my favorite AR-15. This is a recent Aero Precision build that I did, and I found myself wanting to shoot this rifle well, every day that I possibly can. So it's had a lot of rounds through it lately, and I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how this thing runs. And we're going to talk a little bit about lightweight rifles in general. This is my first very lightweight rifle, or relatively lightweight, just the sort of mil-spec stuff most of us have spent time with. My first AR-15 was just a sort of standard M4 knockoff thing made by, like, I don't know, Bushmaster or something. That was many years ago. So it's kind of cool to see something like this that's the design sort of taken to the next step, if you will. Although really, one could argue that a lightweight rifle is a return to the way the AR-15 was originally envisioned. But enough about that. Let's talk about Aero Precision a little bit. I love Aero Precision. A friend of mine one day said, hey, if you're gonna make a new rifle, you should try Aero Precision. And next thing I know, I've got tons of them, and I don't even know how that happened, but I really, really like these. They're great. A lot of us think of Aero as being kind of a budget brand, and while they do make very reasonably priced stuff and really great sort of more mil-spec-ish M4s and the like, what I think they do absolutely the best is making new and innovative changes to the design. So this is the M4E1 stuff. This is my super lightweight build, pretty much all Aero parts. Although Aero stuff usually comes with a ballistic advantage barrel, or really always a ballistic advantage barrel as far as I know. And this is the ballistic advantage pencil weight barrel. It's a 16-inch, and it's got a bird cage on the end there. This is the new lightweight Atlas handguard. It looks and feels great. And this build total with the optic, I think it's about 5.5 pounds. To me, that's very light. So let's take a look at the features. So first we've got the M4E1 lower. It looks like billet, but it's actually forged. And some folks say forged lowers are stronger, but I don't know if there's any practical advantage for most of us. I mean, I'm not really gonna be doing anything with this gun that could potentially like snap the lower in half anyway, so I don't know if that really matters. But the magwell is flared. The trigger guard is integrated into the lower, as you see here. I like that I'm like not actually pointing at it, I'm just like pointing off in this direction somewhere. This lower works great with the short throw levers, and I've got an ambi one on there now. And it's got a bunch of other small changes, various parts like the bolt catch are easier to install. I don't want to get too into the weeds here. A lot of the changes are fairly tedious and esoteric, but they are many and very nice. I really like this lower. In fact, this is my favorite lower. It's pretty much the only lower that I buy. I really like them a lot. The upper is a super cool upper. It's just their standard M4E1 upper. There's nothing fancy about it except it has these cool little geometric details, which I like. They're cool looking. And the ballistic advantage barrel is super lightweight and makes this rifle handle like it weighs nothing. It's really a great barrel. We'll talk about the performance later and pencil barrels in general. I know you are pretty excited to know what happens when this barrel heats up, as I was as well. The Atlas handguards are super strong, lightweight, and feel great too. There's no pick rail on the top to save weight, and we both know you don't really need it anyway. I really like the Aero stuff for a variety of reasons, but I just think it looks super cool. This is a really attractive rifle. It looks different enough to sort of scratch your non-AR-15 itch as well. So the AR-15 is sort of my favorite variety of rifle, but in the same way that I am a sort of former Glock person who shoots a lot of different pistols now, I have an interest in a lot of non-AR-15 guns, and this sort of makes me feel like I'm shooting something that's not just a standard AR-15, but it still takes all of the standard parts and whatnot, and I really like it. It's just a good, nice, solid rifle. Alright, now we're going to talk about some of the non-Aero stuff on this gun and why I made those choices. So every part for this gun was kind of hand-picked for a specific purpose. So first let's start with the optic. You've probably noticed that I don't have any any backup sights on here, and it's because I really trust this optic, and I was trying to save as much weight as possible on this rifle, and I've just, you know, I'm target shooting at the range. I don't really need backup sights, so I didn't put any on there. I don't need them. I've never deployed them on any gun at the range when I'm having fun, so I just didn't put them on there. So the MRO, the Trijicon MRO is my favorite of the very small optics. The massive field of view is magnificent. This might be my favorite optic of all time. We'll talk a little bit more about the details of that optic in a review that's coming pretty soon, but I really like it. I just leave it on because the battery life's like 50,000 hours or something. It's just a great optic. It weighs nothing. It perfectly complements what I was going for with this build. For the stock, I chose the Magpul CTR. I like the Magpul MOE stock because it's super light, but I don't like how wiggly it is. It really bothers me, it drives me crazy, and I absolutely just hate that about it. It's just, don't even get me started. So I like the CTR because it doesn't weigh much more, and we have the Magpul locking doohickey there that keeps it from wobbling. Although it does still wobble a little bit. It does still wobble. Kind of drives me crazy too. I just like the way this feels as well on a lightweight build. The STR is probably my favorite stock, but it just didn't make sense for this build. I actually installed an STR and took it off because it kind of shifted the weight in a weird way. I know it's only a few ounces, but it really matters when your gun is 5.5 pounds. So here you also see that I've got the Odin, what is it called? The Odin Extended Magazine release. This is the third of its name. I think they just call it like the Gen 3 or something. I don't know if these really have a name. I just picked it because it looks cool and feels good to my little magazine releasing finger. I kind of put these on everything, even though it's not necessarily my favorite extended release. They're always available locally and are pretty inexpensive. On the other side of the gun, we have a Geisley Maritime bolt release. It is very large and textured. We'll look at it later, as I don't want to move the rifle around and, you know, ruin my perfect mise-en-scène that I have going here on my fancy rug. The trigger is a Geisley SSAE. That is my favorite trigger. I really only use these triggers, though I'm considering getting a flat-faced one for this rifle. Just because, I don't know, I kind of am interested in the flat-faced triggers, and it seems like it might be interesting. I have a Radian charging handle. These are nice and lightweight, one of the best around, one of my favorite charging handles. I really like it. It is super solid. Not my favorite, but my second favorite. I dig it. Then the safety lever is a Radian Talon. Ambidextrous, you can choose between a 90-degree or a 45-degree throw. I have it set up for the shorter throw. I really like these. They feel great. They're super awesome, very easy to install, and they look great on my M4E1 lower. Last of all, well, I guess this is an Aero part. Oh well, whatever. Who cares what order all this crap's in? Anyway, the bolt is an Aero a nickel boron BCG. I only use these bolt carrier groups largely. I really like them. They are super slick. They are awesome. They clean easily, and they make the gun feel totally different than a regular like phosphate coated bolt like you see on a lot of other guns. I always felt like with phosphate bolts, like the gun just sort of, I don't know, the bolt just doesn't want to go home. You have the spring pushing it forward. It doesn't naturally want to do that. Whereas the nickel boron bolt is so slick that it's happy to go right back home and fire another round as quickly as possible. It really changes the feel of the gun for the better. So which guns compete with these really high quality Aero M4E1 builds? Well, really, these compete with the higher end stuff from the likes of BCM, Daniel, FN, and all of those companies, any of the really nice DI guns. And I know that seems crazy, but this is as good. It honestly is. And the M4E1s are probably not quite as inexpensive as you might think they would be, being an Aero product. But you get what you pay for, and they're still not expensive by any means. They're just not cheap. I feel like Aero's sort of regular AR-15s, they compete with the cheaper AR stuff from like Palmetto State Armory. Still great guns, but they're not this. This is a really, really, really nice gun. So I've shot a lot of BCMs, Daniels, FNs. That's the stuff that my friends usually buy. And I can say that the M4E1s, and this is not my only one, it's just the one I'm showing you today, that these run as well as those and better than some, especially if you have the nickel boron bolt. So those other brands make absolutely legendary barrels. The only thing I will say is I don't know if the ballistic advantage barrels are as good as something like a Daniel, but only time will tell. I haven't shot them enough to know. This gun has a few thousand rounds through it. My Aero SPR has many thousands of rounds through it, so that's probably the one where we'll sort of look at the longevity and see how it's doing. The ballistic advantage barrel may absolutely be just as good. I just want you to know up front that the ballistic advantage doesn't have the same pedigree as something like, a Daniel barrel. Worth mentioning for sure. But I found these to be very, very accurate. And I will say, again, with the nickel boron bolt, this gun runs like it's a $3,000 rifle. It's incredibly smooth, and I'll show you that up close before we're done here today. But for now, just take my word for it. This gun is slick. All right, let's take a look at the smaller components of the gun. I've spent enough time with these to have a pretty good idea whether or not I like them, so this will also function as kind of a mini review of each one. Although, full-length reviews to follow. So first of all, the Geissele SSAE. Obviously, this trigger is great. We all know this is a great trigger. These really help with fast follow-up shots. This trigger feels amazing. If you've never felt one, just buy one. You need it. You need to have one. All right, let's take a look here. So, first, let's take a look at the reset, shall we? It's a little bit long, if I'm being honest, but you don't really notice it in the moment. It is longer than I would like. That's really my only criticism of this trigger. It's a two-stage. There's our first stage. You hit a very audible wall and then push through it. Yeah, it's like 3.5 pounds total. I don't know, maybe 2 pounds on the take up and 1.5 pounds on the wall. Great trigger, absolutely my favorite, even with the kind of long, weird reset. I really, really, really like it. Next up, let's take a look at the, let's take a look at the stock, actually. So this is the CTR. Again, I chose it over the Mo, which is a little bit lighter, or the MOE, however one would like to say it, simply because this locks down, but it still has some wiggle. That is absolutely maddening. Why? And yes, I am aware that there is a fix for this, but I'm discussing this stock in its stock form. Wow, that's really bad. So when you want to open it or change position, you press that thing in, and then it lets you choose a different position, and then this thing locks it down and keeps it from wobbling. Only it doesn't keep it from wobbling. It just wobbles less. Still, this is a great stock. It's super lightweight, and this is what I would advise you to get for a lightweight build that you're doing yourself. Next, let's take a look at the Radian charging handle here. So this is a really, really sturdy charging handle, one of the best ones on the market. It's also really smooth and easy to operate. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, so it's not my favorite charging handle, honestly. I prefer the sort of the Ambi Aero one, but this is easily my second favorite and still one of the absolute best. I would not hesitate at all to recommend that you get this particular charging handle. It is super great. So next, we have the Radian Ambi selector there. You can set this up to have a 90-degree throw or a 45-degree throw. I have it set up for 45. This thing is so easy and slick to use. It's also really easy to install. This is the best selector on the market, in my opinion. I really, really, really like it. I consider this to be an essential part. I put this on everything. You should put this on everything. This is the right one. Just take my word for it. Go buy it. While we're looking at this side, we also have the Geisley Maritime Bolt Catch. Very, very nice. In fact, let's take a look at how easy that thing is to use. Okay, so we're locked open now. This is so big and easy to use. Yep, it's that simple. And now, even the bottom, which you press to hold the bolt open with no magazine in, just as easy. Yeah, it's really great. The Maritime Bolt Catch is another one of those pieces that I consider to be utterly essential. It just goes on every rifle. I really just gotta have it. You just need to have it on there. Let's take a look also at the Odin magazine release here. It works really well, but this is not my favorite magazine release because there's kind of a plastic piece that the paddle connects to, and I wear stuff out. I'm gonna break that. It's gonna happen. It might not be today and it might not be tomorrow, but I'm gonna wear that out. I hope I'm wrong, and I'm gonna keep it in there until it messes up. And I kind of put these on everything like I was mentioning because they're really easy to find locally, but that plastic piece, it bothers me. I'm probably gonna wreck it. But look at how satisfying this thing is to use. Oh yeah, it just feels great. You can press it anywhere, you can press it there. You can press it here. It's just nice. It's really nice. I really like it, with the exception of that plastic piece. If that plastic piece doesn't wear out, then I'm gonna say this is like the best extended release that you can get. But I'll keep you updated on that. I just have my reservations. So the MRO, I have the most to say about this. There's a full review coming. But let me tell you, this is my favorite small optic. This is maybe my favorite optic ever, and I feel like a fool for waiting so long to buy one. This thing is absolutely fantastic. The field of view is incredible for something this small and light. It's just outstanding. If you need a small optic like this, just get this one. This is the one, in my opinion. I'm also a big fan of EOTechs. And I like this for the same reason that I like the EOTechs. It's just so easy to find your reticle. Really, really nice. And I know I have mine mounted a bit further back than most people. I tried it in several different positions. This just worked best for me, so I don't know where you'll need to put yours, but that was what was optimal for my my stupid eyes. So yeah, there you go. You know what? While we're at it, let's just take a look inside the gun as well. I don't know why. It's looking inside an AR-15 is not particularly exciting, but you can see how nice the Aero stuff is, I guess. And you can also see the kind of where to expect after a few thousand rounds with all these parts, I guess. So, oh, and actually, you know what? This brings me to something that I forgot to mention. The M4E1 lower has a tension screw that helps with the fit between the lower and the upper. And man, it makes the gun feel just absolutely rock solid. That is a lovely feature. How did I forget to mention that? All right, so open we are now. Yeah. No excessive wear, it's just really, really dirty, isn't it? Let's take a look here. Yeah, no excessive wear to the nickel boron bolt, and those also clean up really, really easily. If it wasn't filthy, I would take it all the way out, but it's super gross right now. So at the moment, I'm kind of trying to run this gun as hard as I can and for as long as I can without cleaning it, just to see if I can screw it up. And so far, no luck. It just runs. So anyway, on with the review. But most importantly, how does this thing feel and shoot? Well, this is my favorite AR-15 for a reason. It is so smooth and handy. The pencil barrel was a revelation for me. So my other favorite build is an Aero SPR. It's got a huge heavy barrel, and while it's equally smooth and super fun to shoot, the barrel just doesn't maneuver as well, and how could it, weighing that much? This lightweight gun moves like the wind, and it feels so lively in my hands. I love it. I've found myself taking this to the range more than any other rifle. The Atlas handguards also feel great and really aid in the gun's maneuverability. And you're probably thinking, so a gun this light is going to have more recoil. And obviously it does. It's just a matter of physics. There's less weight, it's going to have more recoil. But because the gun is so light and handy, I'm really able to clamp down on the handguard up here and absolutely control what the barrel is doing. So really, I make follow-up shots with this gun faster than anything else, even the SPR. I can't adequately convey how useful the lightweight is. I'm not sure that I have an interest in making heavy rifles anymore after spending some time with this. If anything, I'll probably just clone this one so that I have another one and I'm not just beating this one to death all the time. Also, the nickel boron bolt. It makes the action so slick. There are no hitches or any sort of slowness when it's moving, even when it's dirty. That really helps, and it makes it feel like the recoil is reduced somewhat, although I think it's really just that it's moving more slowly and quickly, so it's kind of one fluid motion, the bolt operating. Some of the other cheaper like phosphate bolts that I've used in the past in guns, you can almost feel it cycling, if you know what I mean. I'm not talking just about the recoil impulse, but you can almost feel that the bolt is kind of dragging inside the upper, and this just doesn't do that. It's really great. I mean, it runs like a greased pig. Well, what does that expression even mean? Like, by the way, running like a greased pig. Like, who the hell's out there like greasing pigs and making them run around? Yeah, it seems like some fishy country business to me. But anyway, yeah, get the nickel boron bolt. That's the way to go. So, last of all, let's talk about pencil barrels in general. I bought this kind of as an experiment because I wanted to find out what the deal is with these pencil barrels. I've been seeing so many people moving in the direction of these lighter guns. I just wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I totally get it now. For years, I bought giant heavy barrels, and I kind of looked down on people who bought tiny ones like this one here. I would think, why would you want to sacrifice how many rounds you can accurately shoot in a day? Surely this is some great limitation that is insurmountable. But now that I've spent a month with this thing, and I've shot it to death, I really have put a lot of rounds through this thing in a month. My opinions are completely different. Let's discuss why. So the pencil barrel does not heat up as fast as you might think, though it does heat up faster. This gun shoots well under 1 MOA when it's cool. My best group with it so far has been like just under 3/4 of an MOA. I think it was like 0.72 or something like that. That's really awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. After a 30-round mag dump, the group opens up a little, and with this particular barrel, it seems to move to the right, although your barrel will move in a different direction. That's just this particular barrel. If I went out and bought an identical pencil barrel, it might move to the left or up or down. But either way, it's consistent and you can account for it. And you have to shoot pretty fast to heat this thing up. So after 150 rounds fired rapidly, I did a test. I just wanted to see where we were at that point. And the handguard was scalding hot. I couldn't even grip it. And the groups did open up quite a bit. It was in the 3 to 4 MOA range. At some points a little more, but that could have just been me throwing a flyer. I don't know, but yeah, 3 to 4 MOA was about fair. And again, we have that sort of small movement to the right as well. But I consider this to be completely sufficient accuracy. I mean, there are guns on the market that just shoot 3 to 4 MOA right out of the box. Like if you go and buy, I don't know, everybody was in an uproar about the accuracy of the Tavor X95 because it was shooting like 3 MOA consistently. That is totally fine. That would be fine for most guns. And if that's what it's doing after it's hotter than hell, then that's really fine. So if I wear appropriate gloves, I can still grip the handguard, but just be aware it's getting really hot. It's scorching hot. But I will say this, I end up in the end shooting this gun better standing, even when it's hot, than the SPR, because it's so light. You just have so much control over the sort of sway of the muzzle. Yeah, so anyway, there's my experience with the pencil barrel thus far. Don't fear the skinny barrels. The first AR-15 barrels were very thin, and I understand why now. The design really comes alive when you shoot a rifle this handy. I feel a lot more confident shooting these little lightweight guns. I move faster, I shoot straighter, and I can shoot all day long. I really love this gun, and I love the pencil barrel. You will see more pencil barrels on my rifles. As always, I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Good night. Oh, hello again. Thank you so much for watching my Aero Precision M4E1 lightweight carbine review thingy. We learned a lot, we cried a lot, we hugged a lot, we made some new friends. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your support, and it would mean a lot to me if you would hit the subscribe button down there. It helps me out a great deal. I really appreciate it. And again, I hope you all have a wonderful evening.